family of a victim killed in last year's mass shooting at Florida State University is suing OpenAI. That's the parent company of ChatGPT. And the lawsuit alleges that ChatGPT enabled and provided advice for carrying out the attack that ultimately left 2 people dead.
If Phoenix Eichner had been speaking to a human about all of these plans that he had and the things that he was interested in and his mental state, a human would have escalated it to another human to make sure that somebody was checking on him and seeing if he was okay and checking to see if something dangerous might be about to happen.
OpenAI told CNN in a statement, quote, "Last year's mass shooting at Florida State University was a tragedy, but ChatGPT is not responsible for this terrible crime. ChatGPT provided factual responses to questions with information that could be found broadly across public sources on the internet, and it did not encourage or promote illegal or harmful activity." Joining us now is Bakari Sellers. He's an attorney for Strom Law, representing the family of Thiru Chaba, a victim in the FSU shooting. He was on campus that day related to FSU dining services. And as for Bakari, he's a CNN political commentator. I want to make sure we note that as well. Nice to see you, Bakari. First of all, how is the family doing? And if you could just elaborate on why they feel OpenAI is responsible for Thiru's death.
So the first question is a good one, and I'm glad we're starting there. He had a very strong wife who he leaves here, and he has somebody who just graduated 5th grade, and he has a 5-year-old. When you think about this season where you're having graduations and you're having programs at the end of the school year, you understand that that family is going through a great deal of sorrow and tragedy, wishing that he would walk back through that door. But they want the community to know that there's a special thank you for everybody who stepped in and stepped up. As for OpenAI and ChatGPT, there were a number of things that we recognized throughout the 13,000 back and forth chats that the shooter had with ChatGPT, or this AI bot. Not just the planning on the day of. I mean, you can talk about him asking about the Columbine shooting, him asking about how would people be remembered in infamy, what time should he go to campus where there would be the most people present on campus. He asked about guns up until minutes before he fired the first shots. He utilized ChatGPT as somewhat of a co-conspirator throughout this process. And over the years or year prior to and having these conversations with ChatGPT, there was no recognition or concern. In fact, this should have been escalated to a human for review. Some of the responses that ChatGPT had given based upon some of the previous conversations they had should have been limited in their response. And I think that if steps were taken and safeguards were put in place and not a dollar put over the lives of humans, this may not have happened.
As you heard, OpenAI says ChatGPT simply provides factual responses to questions from public service sources and did not encourage any sort of harmful activity. It also says it directed him to mental health professionals. How do you respond to those points?
I mean, we will respond. I think that ChatGPT has an awesome opportunity to respond to our 76-page complaint, and then we will respond in kind. I can tell you this, however, ChatGPT is rushing a product out to market to make sure that they get their $1 trillion IPO. The same day we filed this lawsuit, ChatGPT, OpenAI, announced a $16 billion consulting arm. They're doing all of this without making sure that the necessary safeguards are in place to prevent these tragedies from happening. This individual, Eichner, utilized ChatGPT the day of this shooting, all the way up until moments before he fired the first shots, talking about his mental health, talking about weaponry, talking about making sure that media paid attention. Pamela, he even asked how many people would have to be shot to make sure that this would garner the attention that he wanted it to garner. I mean, there were so many steps along the way that if he were actually talking to Pamela Brown, a Wolf Blitzer, you would call the authorities. You would call a mental health professional. You would check on him. It was so disturbing throughout this process. And honestly, dating back the year where you had these 13,000 back and forths, it was more than disturbing, and ChatGPT did nothing to make sure that a tragedy didn't occur.
What is the strongest piece of evidence you can point to that you believe connects this technology to the shooting?
The chats themselves. I mean, I would, encourage anybody, particularly journalists, who have access to the public records. We want to say thank you to the Attorney General of Florida. We want to say thank you to the district attorney who is pursuing this case with great fever and respect for the family. But the chats themselves, those chats the day of are just damning in the way that they outline a pattern and a way to carry out mass murder. And that's what we've seen. I'll also tell you this, that anytime you have Bakari Sellers and Ron DeSantis and you have the Attorney General of Florida on the same side of an issue, you recognize it's not about the body politic. It's about what's right for all Americans. And so we stand proud representing this family throughout this process.
And you say that because you are a well-known Democrat, and they are Republicans, and it is a bipartisan issue. In the past, though, when other alleged attackers have used search engines to inform their plans, it's rare that those companies have been held liable. Why is this different?
So this isn't a 230 case, which is what you're referring to, Pam. This isn't about sourcing information on something like Facebook or YouTube, where other individuals actually place information on there for you to source. This is different because this is a AI bot that is producing its own content. Facebook, YouTube, they don't produce their own content. However, ChatGPT does. They produce the content and they respond to the queries at hand. That is what we're seeing. So these responses were provided without any level of accountability. These responses were provided without any human oversight, understanding that they were escalating in tone. These responses were provided because of the inputs that are put in place by ChatGPT and OpenAI. And we're going to learn so much more when we get to the discovery process. We're going to learn so much more about Sam Altman's motivations and other people's motivations when we're able to sit them down for a deposition. But the chats themselves, the content that's created by OpenAI and ChatGPT, pushing that out without any safeguards makes this vastly different from the 230 cases that you are referencing.
All right, Bakari Sellers, thank you so much. And we should note that the suspect in the shooting has pleaded not guilty to murder and attempted murder charges. Wolf?